Hello everybody. Thought I'd do something a bit different, and I've used the webcam just for, I've never really done it before. And I bought one the other day because me and Adam were going to do these podcast things. Anyway, I thought I'd give it a try. So you might have to put up with my ugly mush for this time, but just let me know if if it annoys you, whatever. Anyway, so I'm carrying on with the lawn lawsuit, which is you'll have to forgive me supping my tea. I mean, it's great entertainment, isn't it? You know what I mean? Lawn was really if you remember, if you've watched the last one, his lawsuit against NBC, he really went to town on the as you can see there, Lewis Conrad, the district attorney who killed himself. He really sort of hammered home about it. He's trying to use it to say that NBC are like irresponsible. I was wondering about this because we touched upon it last time. Some people have made some comments about it. That district attorney tried to sort of abuse that kid and then topped himself. It's like the coward's way out. But there's a number of ways of looking at it. He obviously needed to be prosecuted, and he was a danger and he was a predator. Did the press being there? I would suggest that is the main reason. If it had just been the police, without the press, he might not have killed himself. So there's a number of ways of looking at it. Was it necessary that they were there and put him in that position to kill himself? Because it's nobody's right to say someone lives or dies, regardless of what they've done, in my opinion. So, it's a funny one. But what I don't fucking like is Lorne jumping all over it and trying to use it to his advantage. I think it's wrong on a number of levels for him to do that, but as we know, he doesn't have any moral boundaries. It goes without saying, doesn't it? So, let's read it here anyway. NBC Dateline had learned of many of the wrong and civil rights violations that they were performing after the show. But instead of taking the show off air immediately, they decided to try to get away with one more show. I think if you go into Lorne's head, the one more show was Bowling Green, wasn't it? So I think what's pissing Lorne off even more at this point is, if they at that point had stopped and said, "Look what we've done," he wouldn't have got busted, and that's what's pissing him off. Which I understand, but as is a common theme that runs through everything that he does, it's still this guilt that most people would have just gone, well, I did what I did, I'm clearly bad, or I did something wrong, let's just leave it there. But no, he doesn't, because he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. It makes all this even worse, doesn't it? They neglected to keep in mind all of the illegal acts they were performing, or just didn't care, and once again used their charm. What? Once again used their charm and the power of the press. What does he mean by their charm? Is he talking about Chris Hansen? Does he find Chris Hansen charming? And the power of the press on another law enforcement agency to gather enough persons together to make one last show. It makes me... Is he talking... Is he going from the third to the first person again? Or the third to the first, should I say. It makes me wonder what it takes for a corporation to learn to not be so heartless to risk another person's life for such a simple cause, such as ratings for a television show, because there certainly wasn't any other reason. Well, welcome to the big bag fucking world, Lorne. A lot of people, all they're interested in is making money, and they don't give a shit on who they step on. But for you to come out with that after what you've done is obviously, there's a massive amount of irony within that. Cooperation to learn to not be so heartless to risk another person's life for such a simple cause. Hang on. For such a simple cause, such as ratings for a television show. Well, it wasn't just that, was it? It was a joint effort between Perverted Justice, the police. It wasn't just for ratings. There were people involved in it who wanted to catch predators. Negligence is the act of uncaring and intentional selfish motives. So Lorne is being so patronising that he's actually telling whoever's reading this drivel what words mean. He's becoming his own dictionary at this point, and he's spelling it. Negligence is the act of uncaring and intentional selfish motives, and should not be tolerated in any should not be tolerated in any land from such acts such as these that NBC seem to assure that they can get away with without punishment. It should not be tolerated, guys. Negligence. I don't even know what negligence means in this situation. There's a lot of like what I've had to do. I have actually done some pre-planning for this video, you know, would you believe? It's more than just a 30-minute record. This lawsuit is a massive document, and it goes over like loads of appeals and different motions, and so I've had to basically, I'm gonna have to skip through quite a lot of parts. So yeah, that's that bit. So the next part is a letter that Lorne has written, and if we have a look at the filed on the 26th of April 2011, so roughly that was the date that it's sent. Dear Clerk of Court, I believe I made a mistake and sent the copied pages of the ones that needed my signature, so I'm sending these in to you to make sure. I also feel like I might have overlooked questions 7 and 8 that needed my information about my account with Donna Alder's signature on it. So I'm sending this into you also. I apologize if I did these things. I never done a lawsuit before. No shit, Lorne. I never done a lawsuit before. Doesn't really make sense, that. No. What? I never done a lawsuit before, no, on my own, and I was trying hard to do everything right. To be fair, he has put a lot of work into it. It's ridiculous, but, well, he's not doing anything else, has he? On my other litigations, with my, whatever that says, I did it pro se, but with help of someone who knew what they were doing. Right. Is that Michael Patterson? Because he was, it might be him, you know. Someone's going to know who that was, but within this document that I've got here, Michael Patterson's lawsuit is in there as well, and we're going to touch upon that soon. Once again, I apologise if I've made these mistakes. Right, yeah, okay, right. Now, what we have here, well, it's worth going over this. State exactly what you want the court to do for you. If you seek relief which affects the fact or duration of your imprisonment, for example, release from illegal detention, restoration of good time, expungement of records, police parole, on parole, sorry, you must also file your claim on the whatever. award money damages to the amount of $40 million. Why did it? This is how convinced he was that he was gonna. That he actually. That this was all. He was gonna get somewhere. Because surely, I mean, I'm looking at it in a logical sense now after the event. If he was going to put an amount that was reasonable, they may, in theory, I don't think they would have done, but because of what happened with the DA and the sister suing NBC for an undisclosed amount, which we believe may have been in the millions, it was definitely near that figure. They may have actually settled, and they may have gone, you know what? He's took a lot of look at Luke. He's suffered these problems. He's done this. He's done that. They wouldn't have done. But the point is, why not put a reasonable 80 million relief by taking all information about me off their website on TV? Well, what are they going to do? Like re-edit the show and take you out of it? 21st of April 2011. Well, I wonder what we're doing on that day. Wow. Right, okay, let's jump to the next bit. Oh. So what have we got now? Memorandum, opinion and order. United District Court, Lawn v NBC. Okay, who's written this? Oh, right, okay, United States, this is the court, I think. Memorandum and order. Plaintiff, defendant, sorry. On the 25th of April 2011, Lorne, a convicted inmate currently incarcerated at the Luther Luckett Correctional Complex, initiated his civil action against NBC Inc. for reasons set forth below. The court will dismiss plaintiff's 42 USC whatever that claims because it is clear from the face of the complaint that they are time barred. The court will allow plaintiff's state law claims to proceed for further development. So this is getting rid of his, dismissing his civil case. Plaintiff alleges that on the 18th of October, defendant, in concert with local police authorities, conducted a sting operation. As part of the sting, plaintiff claims that defendant lured him to the sting house. Prior to that date, he alleges that he had been chatting with a decoy in an adult chat room. The decoy claims to be an underage female. She invited plaintiff to meet her at the sting house. Plaintiff declined invitation. However, after the decoy persisted, he agreed to meet the girl at the house. When plaintiff arrived, he was placed under arrest. Plaintiff states that defendant was present at the sting house and filming his arrest on search. Defendant then heard the events on national television in a series entitled "To Catch a Predator." Plaintiff claims defendant also made material. I mean, this is just summary, isn't it? We've already gone over this. When a plaintiff is proceeding in former whatever that says, the trial court must review the complaint and dismiss the complaint or any portion of the complaint if the court determines that it's frivolous or malicious, fails to state a claim upon which relief may be granted, or seeks momentary relief from a defendant who is immune from such relief. We're getting quite complicated here. And this is just what the court's saying, isn't it? Does not provide a statute of limitations. Plaintiff's complaint indicates the search and ensuing arrest took place. There's going to be quite a lot of waffle in this because we're getting to the end of it now. We've gone over most of the meaty stuff, but I think it is worth continuing. Normally, a private individual cannot be held liable. Plaintiff asserts Plaintiff asserts state law claims of invasion of privacy. Yeah, so we're going... Holding that plaintiff could maintain an essential conflict of emotional stress claim on behalf of her brother's estate, where she alleged. So they're even mentioning the Conrad Murray thing. While it remains to be seen whether the plaintiff can ultimately prevail. Is there a hint of sarcasm there? On these state law claims dismissed at this stage as premature, the court will enter a separate schedule in order to govern the development of this various claims. Okay. Oof. The court is not aware of any recognisable federal or state law claims for violation of journalistic code of ethics. As such, the court will dismiss this claim. Order 2. For the reasons set above, it is ordered that plaintiff's claims are dismissed. Well done. As noted by the Conrad Court, however, although unethical conduct by itself does not necessarily equate to outrageous conduct, the failure to abide by these journalistic standards may indeed be relevant, whether Dateline acted in a reckless or outrageous manner. But that is part of the Conrad case. I think they're stating that here. So there is grounds. Yeah, as noted by the Conrad court. So in other words, when that was being dealt with, at what stage we don't know. So it's worth repeating this. Although unethical conduct by itself does not necessarily equate to outrageous conduct, the failure to abide by these journalistic standards may indeed be relevant to whether Dateline acted in a reckless or outrageous manner. So there's some legs to what's going on here, but it's the way he's presenting it that it's basically he's shooting himself in the foot. Him not admitting any guilt is not a good thing. I think this is just legal drivel. I don't think there's any meat here, so we'll go to the next section. This order is not yet. I don't think we're getting to the nitty gritty. Either party may file. Yeah, okay, right. What are we on now? So let's go to the next section. Yeah. Right. What we have here, there's not really going to be any need for us to go too far, but a lot of this document, would you believe, it has Lorne's spending when he was in jail and what he actually spent his money on, and the fact that he was getting money from his mum. He was actually getting money from his mother to sort of spend on his lawsuit. Let's have a quick read of this. Dear Clerk of the Court, my name is Lorne Armstrong and I have a lawsuit in progress against NBC. I was in Kentucky custody at Luther Lockett Complex, but I'm now in federal custody. I'm writing this to let you know that right now my new address is such and such. Right, okay. Right, let's get to the next part. Right. This is written by Hilary Lane, who some people might be familiar with, who is acting in counsel for defendant NBC Universal. So so if you look at her email address, she is directly employed, will have been directly employed by NBC as legal counsel for matters like this, because obviously the lawsuit's against NBC, so she's now responding to that, and I'd love that for conversation. I'd love to speak to that person. They probably don't remember it. Anyway, plaintiff Lorne Armstrong claims that he suffered damages as the result of NBC's NBC Universal's 2008 broadcast of a news report about adults using the internet to engage in sexually explicit chats and arrange sexual encounters with young girls and boys, the Dateline report. Plaintiff claims that he suffered great mental and emotional problems as the result of libel, slanderous and defamatory accusations. However, he does not, because he cannot, assert a claim for libel or slander because he cannot identify any faults. That's what he's... Yeah, it's like... Exactly. Thank you. And she's put it a lot better than what I would say. I mean, basically... However, just this bit here, however, he does not, because he cannot assert a claim for libel or slander, because there's nothing that they've said that isn't true. All that they did was the highlight parts from his chat log. That was it. And Lauren, the worst thing that happened that could indeed be called libel or slander was that Chris Hansen called him a weirdo, but that was actually cut out, and it might have been cut out for that reason, because they probably thought, well, there's no point putting that in there, in case he's, you know, even though they probably would have got away with it. Okay. Indeed, plaintiff admits that he conversed. That's all that he admits. That's all that he admits. Indeed, plaintiff admits that he conversed with a person he believed to be a 13-year-old girl in an internet chat room. Travelled from Nashville, Tennessee to Bowling Green, Kentucky to meet with her and was ultimately arrested and convicted. Instead, plaintiff claims that his civil rights were violated under such and such, and such state law claims for invasion of privacy. Before NBC Universal was served with the complaint, this court dismissed Section 1983 claims on the ground that they are time barred. Which we went over before, didn't we? The court has made no finding that they are timely. NBC Universal respectfully, I'd put unrespectfully, respectfully submits that plaintiff's state law claims for invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional risk are also time barred. These claims are all based on the allegation that plaintiff suffered injury as the result of the broadcast of the Dateline report and the publication of the report online. Because the injury of plaintiff's tort claims springs from the publication of these reports, these claims sound in libel and slander and are subject to the 1-year statute of limitations. It's going over my head a lot of this, guys, I do apologise. Blah blah blah. Plaintiff's negligence claim should be dismissed for the independent reason that it is governed by the 1-year statute of limitations for negligence. It's something that's specific to the US, isn't it? Plaintiff's state. Regardless of how plaintiff's labels his claim, he must meet the heightened First Amendment requirements of his alleged damages arise from the speech at issue. For these reasons, NBC respectfully submits that his complaint should be dismissed. Argument. The court should dismiss. It's heavy going, some of this, isn't it, guys? The court should dismiss, but I might as well get through it all, haven't I? The court should dismiss a complaint if, taking all of the well-pleaded allegations as true and viewing them in the light most favourable to the plaintiffs, if it concludes to blah blah blah. So they're sort of throwing... There's no point going into this too much, but they're sort of playing Lorne at his own game, really. They're stating, they're coming out with stated cases and saying, well, actually, no, look at this case and this case. This is why you're full of shit, Lorne, you know. Because Lorne was coming out with all these different things about why they were acting inappropriately, but they're doing the same thing. Plaintiff's allegation made clear that he seeks to recover from injuries allegedly caused by the broadcast of the Dateline report. Among other things, plaintiff asserts that the broadcast of the report has caused the public to always see him as a sexual predator and has ruined his childhood dreams of becoming She's actually put that in the response. Brilliant. And that the worldwide viewing of the show has ruined his reputation of being a loving, caring and hard-working, law-abiding citizen. He further alleges that the show's libel, slanderous and defamatory accusations have caused great mental and emotional problems that he will constantly wonder when passing someone in the street. Plaintiff does not allege any harm that does not result from the report. All of the alleged harm he seeks to redress through his actions flows from the worldwide viewing of the show. The rule is firmly established in Kentucky that a statute of limitations which specifically mentions a recognised tort applies to all actions founded on that tort regardless of the method by which it's claimed the tort has been committed. So basically what they're saying is everything is wrong. You can't say that just because you committed a criminal offence and it's been publicised that you can seek damages. It would, what he's saying would apply if he'd been sent down, like, if you'd been sent down for something you'd not done and you got found not guilty at a later time. In Branham, an employee of a computer repair company found child pornography on plaintiff's computer and reported findings to the local police. The plaintiff was arrested and charged the following year, only to have all charges dropped after 2 months. This is a stated case, obviously. This isn't law. And the plaintiff filed a complaint alleging, among other things, claims for libel, slander and invasion of privacy. The district court held that these claims were barred by the 1-year statute of limitations for libel and slander set forth in Kentucky revised statutes, even though the invasion of privacy claim was not specifically mentioned by the right. Here, as in Branham and Lashley's plaintiff's own allegations make clear that his claims of injury spring from the publication of the Dateline report and that the real purpose of the claims is to recover for alleged injuries resulting from the report, which are addressed by the tort of libel. Plaintiff claims, among other things, that he did not get a fair trial and that the public was always seen as a sexual predator. He always subject, right, okay. These general allegations, which appear to apply to all of plaintiff's claims, make clear that the only injuries plaintiff alleges arise out of the publication of the report. Yeah, we've already been over this, haven't we? Also claims that Dateline used the information it gathered in connection with the Dateline report to intentionally make the suspect look guilty in the public eye by placing those specific portions of the suspect's discovery on their television show for the world to see. There can be no doubt that plaintiff's claims are based on the publication of the Dateline report and online. Plaintiff does not allege any injury that does not arise from the report. His claims therefore sound in libel and are barred by the 1-year statute of limitations governing libel and slander claims. So this 1-year statute of limitations, it just dismisses everything, doesn't it? Just look how much work they've had to do just for all of this, just for the nonsense that Lorne has actually put together. Look how much work has gone into it, how much work people have had to do, but I suppose that's just the way it works, isn't it? People can try and sue anybody for anything. So where are we up to now? Plaintiff permissibly seeks to recover damages. In this case, however, plaintiff does not allege that NBC's broadcast was false. Indeed, he admits that he conversed with a person he believed to be an underage girl, travelled across state lines to meet with her, and was arrested and convicted for doing so. The First Amendment absolutely bars plaintiff recovery damages arising from this truthful depiction. Of course, well, I mean, it's not, it's not anything that we need to go into, is it? It's just about him. He got caught. He doesn't like it. It's as simple as that. Plaintiff states law taught claims cannot succeed for the further reason that he's failed to allege the requisite elements for each claim. The alleged conduct must be intentional and reckless. The conduct must be right. Okay. Kentucky Supreme Court have recognised the following elements to state a claim for what he's alleging. The conduct must be intentional and reckless. Conduct must be outrageous and intolerable in that it offends against the general accepted standards of decency and morality. I don't think that broadcast covers that. There must be a casual connection between the alleged conduct and the emotional distress. A casual connection. The emotional distress must be severe. Kentucky courts have set a high threshold for these claims. To succeed on his claim, plaintiff must show that it was so outrageous, so extreme in degree as to go beyond all possible bounds of decency. That's not what happened in that segment in the broadcast, is it? They did nothing more. The only thing that you could say might have been inappropriate in how they portrayed Lorne's case was when they took the piss out of him and said he was crying and crying and crying, and basically it was pretty. They were mocking him, weren't they? It's the only part, but that's not outrageous. That's just and they're here. I mean, they're taking it. They took it to a serious degree, NBC, because they've had to keep stating, they've had to keep going along other stated cases. Anyway, let's get to the next part. I'm sorry it's a bit long-winded, this one, guys. This is a letter from Lorne, filed on the 22nd of September 2011. Dear Clerk of Court and Judge McKinley, I wanted to write and let you know that I sent NBC a certified and what's that say? Don't know. Letter letting them know any new addresses. I received mail directly from NBC informing me Miss Hillary Claim registering with the court and all. Sent that on to me on September 2nd. I had also sent NBC a letter that was that say neutralised, and let them know my change in address. I believe that NBC has only claimed to not have my new address so they could have more time to find reason not to pay. What? So there's been some kind of mix-up with regard to Lorne's new address, and basically there's probably been a delay in the claims ongoing because they've claimed that they don't have his new address, and Lorne is saying here that the only reason he's trying to use that to his advantage and say that they didn't have his address so he could sue them. They deliberately said they didn't have his address so that they didn't have to pay for the claims. They've brought on themselves due to greed and carelessness. These are copies of the letters. 2 of them I've sent to NBC informing them of the change in address. I believe NBC is trying to pull a fast one on the court so they would be able to have more time and would like the court to take that into account. Oh God. Dear Miss Hillary Lane. Oh right, okay, so that's the letter that he said. So Lorne believes that there's a mix-up in addresses and that that's a deliberate act by NBC to fuck him around. It may be deliberate, but they know that Lorne's not getting anywhere. Like, it could be they get loads and loads of letters and they've got this letter and they just thought, oh, they just throw it away. But Lorne believes it's some kind of conspiracy because they know they're going to lose it. I don't know. Okay, plaintiff's response to defendant's motion to dismiss complaint. Okay, now comes plaintiff Lorne Armstrong's pro se who is filing an instant response. On 25th of April 2011, plaintiff initiated a civil action. Blah blah blah. Therefore, the court dismissed some of the plaintiff's claims, but allowed his state claims, invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress to proceed. Then, on September, the defendant filed a motion with this court to dismiss the plaintiff's state claims. For a statement of facts, please refer to the plaintiff's complaint and defence motion. Of paramount importance in the facts is that NBC aired plaintiff's crime on Dateline before he pled guilty, and NBC failed to disguise his identity on television. Plaintiff was in plain sight. Plaintiff admittedly asserts his remaining claims are notorious and should be heard by this court. Suffered an invasion of privacy. The right of privacy, as denied by the US Supreme Court, is the right to live free from unwarranted publicity. Well, how is it unwarranted when you've committed crimes? Placing a person in false light. Placing a person in a false light in the public eye by associating this person with beliefs or activities with which this person has no connection. Any trier of fact would easily deem NBC responsible for committing all four types of... He just never quits, does he? Plaintiff asserts Kentucky's 5-year statute of limitation is blah 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 blah. In order to constitute an invasion of privacy, the defendant's conduct must be of a nature that would cause mental injury to a person of ordinary feelings of intelligence on the same circumstances. Any trial of fact would easily deem plaintiff suffered and will continue to suffer emotional distress from his crime. Chat with a minor female, being online and aired on NBC with the worldwide general public. Hang on a minute. Plaintiff suffered and will continue to suffer emotional stress from his crime. A chat with a minor female being online. Well, that's a very brief way of putting it. One of the many adverse effects from the above scenario is that the plaintiff has become depressed and developed emotional distress disorder. The minor female decoy, this is a strange way of putting it, with whom plaintiff chatted was apprised by the police that he was at a vulnerable stage in... what are you talking about, man? Was apprised by the police that he was at a vulnerable stage in his life. What? I don't understand. What does he think that, like, the police specifically sought him out because they thought he was vulnerable? So they had a chat with the decoy, Sherry Twist, and said, listen, this Lorne chap is going through a lot of shit at the minute, so what I want you to do is hammer him. I want you to emotionally destroy him and get him to do things he wouldn't have normally done. NBC was also aware of his vulnerability before airing his crime, so they're saying that they all conversed that he was vulnerable. While chatting with the decoy, plaintiff disclosed to her events and circumstances in his life that occurred within the recent 5 years. For example, said previous life events led plaintiff to sell his home, then move away from his family and friends where he lived alone with his dog. Well, isn't it funny how he remembers that he disclosed all this to the decoy, but he doesn't remember all the ridiculous sexual things that he did? When the decoy successfully lured So when he's saying like successfully lured, it's like, you know, it's not like they asked him to come. It's like they were successful in luring him against his will. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like kidnapping. Plaintiff was continually harassed, which was heard by NBC. Plaintiff support his emotional stress claim by citing from Grant versus Security. Conduct must be intentional or reckless. So he's actually reading this and believes that it was intentional and reckless. Now, I don't see what's reckless. Right. Well, I'm not going to go over the other claims, which is, you know, the previous stated claims. There's no point. In addition to the two previous claims, NBC committed negligence against the plaintiff. Right, you've already told us what you think negligence is. The term refers to conduct which falls below the standard established by law for the protection of others against unreasonable risk of harm. Actionable consists of a duty. In the incident case, NBC failed their duty to act with due diligence. They disclosed too much of plaintiff's personal information. Like what? Which has caused him to suffer adverse effects. Considering plaintiff is incarcerated when prisoners... What? Considering plaintiff is incarcerated when prisoners discover his crime, plaintiff gets abused. Oh my god. That's just... Had NBC exercised due diligence and discretion, plaintiff would not be suffering abuse from other prisoners. Oh, can you imagine this shit that fucking people shouted out to him? Hey Armstrong, I thought you had blonde hair. Oh, brilliant. NBC's actions are sufficient to substantiate the act of deliberate indifference when they... It's bollocks, it's not deliberate indifference. They're reporting what happened. Conclusion, this should be good. Wherefore, in consideration of the foregoing arguments, plaintiff Lawn praise, this court will refrain from dismissing his complaint. Well, of course you do. Rather, plaintiff is asking for his case to be decided by a jury or an impartial judge. Oh, you just never... I mean, there's one thing that I suppose you can say is he never gives up, even how ridiculous his claim is. Right, what's this now? Oh, okay. So this is a further letter from Hillary Lane. NBC Universal demonstrated in its moving brief that plaintiff Lorne Armstrong's claims for invasion of privacy cannot succeed because they are based on the great mental and emotional problems he suffered as a result of the son accusations, and therefore time barred and barred by the First Amendment. Additionally, NBC Universal demonstrated that plaintiff's claims should be dismissed for the independent reason that he fails to allege the required elements of those claims. As shown in NBC Universal's moving brief, it is well stated, plaintiff also specifically admits that each of his claims is based on the publication of the Dateline report. With respect to his claims for invasion of privacy, he asserts that plaintiff suffered an invasion of privacy and that his privacy was exposed to the public by NBC. She's just going over what he's already said. By his own admission, plaintiff's claims are all based on the publication of the book. We've known this before. So the plaintiff does not, because he cannot allege that anything in the Dateline report was false, and thus cannot meet his burden of pleading falsity and fundamental element of a defamation claim. Defamation. Sorry, fucking hell. Sound like Lord defamation claim. Plaintiff therefore cannot recover under any tort based on the publication. Well, of course. I mean, just look how ridiculous Lorne's claim was, and look at the size of this document. Further, nothing in plaintiff's opposition brief alters NBC Universal's clear showing that his claims fail as a matter of law because he has failed to plead the essential elements of each of the claims. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons and the reasons set forth in NBC's Universal's moving brief, NBC Universal respectfully submits that plaintiff's remaining causes of action should be dismissed without prejudice. I don't think anybody can disagree with that, although Lorne probably does. Right, we're nearly in the end now. It's been a bit of a slog, this one, hasn't it? I do apologise. But there's a lot to get through, really. Oh. Right, okay. Oh, we've just been over that, haven't we? So... Oh, I've got... Plaintiff Lord Armstrong claims... Armstrong's complaint is virtually identical to a complaint filed by Michael Patterson. He was the cop, another convicted child predator. So they're calling Lorne a child predator, another convicted child predator. NBC Universal moves to dismiss Patterson's complaint on the same grounds as the motion in this instant case. Armstrong was in public and engaged in the commission of a criminal act at the time of the alleged intrusion. Exactly, yeah. Judge Russell dismissed Patterson's claim for publicising private facts. So they're even noting Patterson's no factual allegations that NBC owed him a duty that NBC Universal breached that duty, yeah. For its ongoing reasons set forth should be dismissed. I hereby certify that a true right, yeah, that's it, and there's Hillary Lane again. She probably, you know, if you speak to her now, she probably does actually remember that. And we're on to the last part that I was able to find, which is like another appeal. Defendant appealee Lorne Armstrong, United States Courts of Appeals for the 6th Circuit. I don't know what that means. Lorne Armstrong, who took a prisoner, appeals the district court's dismissal of his complaint. So he's appealing. He's putting forward another. It's not good enough for him that they've looked at all his cases and claims and everything that he's put into it and said it's bollocks. It's not enough. In April, Lorne filed a complaint against NBC, violated his Fourth Amendment, intentionally disclosed, acted with a deliberate. He sought as relief 40 million in compensation damages, 40 million in punitive damages and the removal of information. The district court dismissed Armstrong's claims because it was filed after the applicable 1-year statute of limitations has expired. The court also administered Armstrong's claims because it did not. Right. The court also disclosed that Armstrong had not alleged an invasion of privacy claim based on the appropriation of his name or likeness. Wow. Right. It's more or less the same stuff. Armstrong also argues that his complaint stated a claim for unreasonable publicity concerning his private life because he has a privacy interest in the internet chat and because of the publication. He's saying that you can't make the chat log public because it's got his personal information in there. But they're saying it doesn't apply. In light of Armstrong's inability to allege that the linked internet chats on NBC broadcast concerning actions which he was ultimately convicted of fault, and because news concerning arrest is a matter of legitimate public concern, the district court did not err in dismissing these claims. As to Armstrong's negligence claim, he does not dispute the district court's dismissal of the claim based on the incapacitability. Right, we got through. That was a bit of a slog, wasn't it? So, yeah, there's some interesting parts in it, isn't there? There are other documents that I'm going to look at. Let me know what you think about having me appear on the screen anyway. It's not something that I just thought I'd give it a try. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll speak to you soon.